Hello, Internet. My name's John Kulas. I am a 20-year professor of industrial and organizational psychology. I'm a 10-year user of R for statistical applications. And for the last 6 or 7 years, I've also been using R to author things like websites and technical reports and academic manuscripts. And so every week, I get together with some of my collaborators on authoring projects, and we just make ourselves available to other people that might be interested in doing this kind of stuff. And if they have any questions, they can just ask us those questions. In the absence of questions, we've been kind of taking a look at features of using R to author. Every week we do a different feature. And so tonight, what we were going to do is we were going to take a look at one of the, and I'm a little halting in my speech because prep my, I didn't prep my slides myself on my local machine here. But tonight we're going to look at polling options, and so how to build a survey and deploy it. And I think we'll be doing this for probably a few weeks, looking at this package in particular, the package known as Surveydown. And so because the way that we explore these features is fairly organic, each week we also do a recap in a more linear fashion of what happened the previous week. And thinking that that might be a little more conducive to learning. We already have an expert here in the back room, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him on.
Hello!
Hey, Pasquale.
Hey, Dr. Kulas, how's it
Oh,
going?
good. How are you? Long time no
I'm
see.
doing, yeah, I'm doing well. I just defended my prelims last week
You did.
successfully. Yep,
Awesome.
so that's why I put ABD right there in my name.
You quickly put those 3 letters in.
Yep,
Well, hopefully you don't have them for too long. It's
maybe looking like a year and a half or so.
okay. Good. Yeah, it's good to have them at first, but then after 6 or 7, 8, 9 years, then they get a little yucky to look at.
Yeah, I'm planning on hopefully getting this done in the intended time frame and not letting it drag on for too long.
Okay, what's the topic of your dissertation?
To be determined. I
Mm,
only just defended my prelims, so I'm not quite yet into the brainstorming phase, but I'm thinking of doing something relevant to judgment and decision making with regard to personnel selection procedures.
okay, so not necessarily with personality. You've kind of moved away a
I've
little
done
bit.
nothing with personality.
All
I've
right.
done almost nothing with personality, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, I mean, changes interest, and then actually just practical research too. They change over time, right? They evolve. But of all the prospective grad students I ever met with coming in, like you were so geeked up about personality. You were in love with it.
Hmm.
Uh,
I still find it interesting. I just feel like I've learned most of what I wanted to know about personality. Although
gotcha.
I'm learning some new things too. Like I'm learning about forced choice personality assessments to reduce faking, which is really cool. I'm learning about other reports and how they show stronger validity than self-report. So, I'm learning some cool things, but I just feel like my interests have expanded so much, and I don't see a whole lot for me to do with personality right now, other than using it as, a convergent or discriminant measure.
Gotcha. Well, and the way you talk about it, you talk about it like a psychometrician too. So you're not talking about like a love of a construct, right? You're talking about measurement principles.
Hmm.
So faking and the method of administration and forced choice. So I'm glad you're here. Are you going to be able to hang out with us for a while tonight? I think Diego will be here too.
I got a couple things to do, but
Okay.
I'm a free man now. So,
Well, well, you can
so
pop off. You can pop off at whatever point you like, but you might be interested in checking this out with us because we're. Have you heard of Surveydown, the package?
no, I've not.
So you probably remember. Maybe I've. You and I probably had a couple of like informal chats about this, but 5, 6 years ago, I started using R to build questionnaires, to build surveys, and at the time I was using something called Form R. And Form R, people say R has a steep learning curve. Form R probably has a steeper learning curve within R as a survey platform. There's there's stuff you need to know outside of R in order to make that function. And So last week we started looking at this fairly new edition here. Here's our fellow compatriot.
Vamos a ver, ¿qué es lo que pasa con los alcaldes? ¿Qué es lo que pasa con los alcaldes? ¿Qué es lo que sí, qué está pasando con los alcaldes?
Hey, Diego.
Uh-oh, you're muted,
He's
Diego.
muted.
He's gonna work with that. But so while he's working
Hey,
on that,
Pasquale, what's up?
oh, there he is.
How's it
Look.
going, Diego?
He's here and he's gone. There he goes. He's a busy man. Hey, all you guys, you're such busy guys. Oh, there he goes.
Oh,
He's
there
getting
she
Millie.
is.
Here. I don't think you ever met her.
Look at that. She's huge.
She's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
She's also like disappearing with the background.
I like that bow. That's a pretty bow in her hair.
She turned my audio off. Couldn't hear you for a moment.
It's like a cat walking across the screen.
Yeah, thought it was hands instead of paws.
I wasn't sure if I was going to have many guests tonight, so I have some virtual guests too here. So the virtual guests, let's see if I can get them to emerge here in a second.
Cause you had a bad day, you take everyone down, you sing a sad song.
There. Oh, they're hiding Diego, so we can't have the guests on there tonight, I think.
The virtual guests? What?
That's
We're all virtual guests.
Didn't you see the kitties there trying to
Oh.
claw their way into our show?
This is classic Dr. Kulas.
So, so I was just telling Pasquale, Diego, we started to look at the Surveydown package, which is kind of a more recent option, and it's something that we can kind of add to our toolkit in addition to that Form R. If we want to move away from Qualtrics, SurveyMonkey, Google Forms, whatever platform it is you're using to build surveys, we should be able to do that entirely within R. And so last week what we actually did, well, let's get our transition here into last week.
Well, since Boris Badenov pushed them into a clock tower and wrecked the controls, time is really flying for Rocky and Bullwinkle. And when Bullwinkle tried to break through the door, he bounced right into the whirling machinery.
Bullwinkle, where are you?
I'm right down here at about 2:30.
I want to fly down and get some help.
And the plucky squirrel eased himself out through a small window in the face of the clock and leaped into space. And just in time, too. Down and down he streaked, then shot right through the window of the conference room of the World Economic Council.
The clock! The clock is out of control.
The members ran to the window and looked out. Sure enough, the enormous clock was acting in a most peculiar way.
Oh, this is terrible.
You said it, Mr. Blurt. Bullwinkle's inside that thing.
No, you don't understand. That's the biggest clock in the city. The whole town regulates its time by our clock. Things must be awful down there.
That's a long transition.
Yeah, I should probably cut those down a little bit, but I like them too much. You know, we could just cut it down to last week, our heroes, and then.
What was that from?
That's Rocky and Bullwinkle. It was a 1950s era cartoon,
Okay.
and they have these really short vignettes, and so they get into hijinks and capers and stuff, and they get in all kinds of trouble. But literally, the comic itself is only probably 4 or 5 minutes long. And so they have at least 2 or 3 of them per airing, you know, when this was aired back in the 50s. And so every time they come back into it, the narrator says, "When we last met our heroes." And so that's the whole idea. But yeah, you're right. We should probably cut that down a little bit.
I'm not complaining. I'm just
I used to watch it in Spain when I was a kid, and they would be translated into Galician. So that was funny.
How are the voices? Did they have nice voices?
Maybe I should try to search for them, actually.
All right. They'll give us something.
Maybe it's somewhere on the internet.
I'll give something to check out. So there's a hyperlink here, so the slides are always available in the comments. There's a hyperlink on this slide to Surveydown itself, where we're learning about this ourselves. And so it looks a little intimidating in terms of a surveying platform. The package, you can see this hex, gray hex here on the lower left white image that says Surveydown in it. This is indicating the package itself. And the package kind of works with 3 different systems. And the one that we really were focused on last week was Quarto. And Quarto is the authoring platform that, of course, we're familiar with now because we've been playing with it for over a year on these, at least on these weekly sessions. The one of the features that we're going to take a look at tonight is the location where we store questionnaire or survey responses. And so the package authors are recommending that we do that within something called Supabase. Now, of course, every time we're working with R to do one of these authoring projects, the recommended partners to do things like host data, these are always going to be, I'm overgeneralizing here, but it seems like these are always also kind of open source, kind of let's all contribute and make this a free and available product kind of things. And so Supabase looks to be that. Shiny, we've done quite a bit of Shiny work on this weekly program. And so if the developer, which is us, the survey developers, see Quarto, then the respondents are going to be seeing Shiny. And we haven't seen that yet. We haven't played with that. But we'll certainly play with that today. And what I would like to do, if you guys are up for it, is create a survey and see what that actually looks like. Last week, literally all we did was we installed the package, and it's on CRAN, so you can just, in the console of your R session, you can just do install.packages surveydown. And then once we ask for that library, then they're recommending you create a template. And that template is created by sd_create_survey. One of the things last week that we saw that I'm not sure if I'm all that keen on so far, but it looks like all of their functions in their package start with SD_. And it's one of those first world problems, but it just kind of seems, I don't know, you got to copy SD_ or something and paste it in front of all these functions. But literally all the functions look like they want you to say SD_. Now, if you do SD create survey and then identify a place on your computer that you want to actually put that, what that's going to do is that's going to create a project for you. And so the authors of Surveydown, at least so far, they're wanting you to create a different project folder for each survey project. And that's a little different. But that's okay. It's going to end up taking up potentially a lot more local computer space, but I don't see a massive issue with that. If you go ahead and do that, SD_create survey, and then wherever you want to put it, you're going to see, and now what we have here is we have a screenshot of my lower right hand environment pane with the files tab selected in RStudio. And you actually see that there's a few things that are created. The 2 things that we want to pay most careful attention to is the app.r, that's our Shiny element, and then the survey.qmd, and that's the Quarto element. That's the survey.qmd, that's where we actually specify what we want our survey to look like. And on the 3rd tab here on this slide, we have essentially that survey.qmd file. Now, last week we went ahead and we played with it a little bit. Were you here last week, Diego? I don't remember.
No, it was election day.
You didn't, oh, that's right. It was election day. Yeah. Last week was sparsely attended, and I guess I was kind of talking to myself, but it's like, election is so triggering to people. I probably shouldn't say it, but it is so entertaining. Like that's the night where TV watching is the most entertaining, right? It's the most compelling. It's like you can stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning and just kind of watch the roller coaster. But so anyway, last week we went ahead and opened up that survey.qmd file, and so that's what we're looking at with the survey specs tab. This is just the YAML of a QMD file. And so they're recommending you do echo false, warning false. And these are just when we render, these are whether our chunks are going to produce extra information, yes or no. Echo is literally saying what the chunk specifications are, and warnings are, these are fairly common when we execute chunks, to get a little message that comes out and says something like, hey, you should be using a different version. Yeah, Pasquale?
It prompted me to decide, like to decide if I want to use the directory that I provided in the SD create survey call, and I just said yes. Yup.
Do you want to share? Do you want to share your screen or not?
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to follow along. As this is my
Yeah.
first time using.
No, that's the whole point of these weekly things, is we're trying to kind of introduce everyone to these things at the same time. Last week was my first time with this too, so we don't really know what we're doing. So if you encountered something that you were not sure about, it'd be great if we could look at it
How do I?
together.
Okay, I guess entire screen. Right. So literally just surveyed. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Library survey down, create survey. I provided just like a general path file, and then it asked me to use this current directory, and I said yes.
It says yup.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, automatically we got to like those package authors a little more. So yeah, I think if you say yes. Now, if you go to that location, you should have a project in there.
Which one did I put? Oh, PIHS. Yeah, I put it in here. Data modified. Is it this? I think it's this. It's app.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's these three.
Okay, cool. Now, also, Pasquale, if you go up to your, I don't know if you use our studio this way, but if you go up to the upper right, where it says project, or maybe
Upper right.
maybe just file, probably because you don't have a project yet. File, open project. And then if you can navigate to that folder space, we should be able to find the project as well.
Yeah. So it only has app. Oh, so I guess this is.
So the project should be the extension on it is actually proj. So it won't be the app. It'll be, can't quite see.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna get off screen because I feel like I'm just messing everything up right now.
No, this is great. I mean, this is why we do this. We just let's see
done.
if we can access it for you. So let's go file, open. I think we want to go open project.
Okay. Why does it ask me to save workspace? No, don't save.
Yeah, that's just an option that you haven't disabled in our studio.
Okay.
And then, so let's make sure to go to the proper folder location for
Right.
it.
So it was just in the sorry for all this garbage file directory. Psychometrics, PHS. Oh, is it this one?
There it is. Yeah. Yeah, so when I did mine in a clean folder, so I only had those files. I only had those files. I didn't have anything else other than what I just created. So now, if you, Pasquale, if you look in that lower right-hand panel for the QMD, so the QMD is going to be the same name as whatever you called your project. So it should be a repeat of whatever the project folder is in terms of the name.
So app.
Nope, it won't be app. It'll
Oh,
be.
you have to scroll down.
This is just all my crap.
Well, you know what? I think it's called. It might be called Survey.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, Survey QMD.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. So if you open that and then go ahead and render it. Although, now the thing that we haven't checked is if you have Quarto installed on your machine.
I do not. Oh, okay.
Looks like you don't need it. Okay, that's interesting.
I like Adelaide Penguins. I do.
Do you know what? Oh, wait, that's right. You're like a bird. You're a bird guy.
I'm 100% a bird guy. I've been doing a lot of birding recently. But anyway,
that's neat. Have you seen any? What's the neatest thing you've seen recently?
I recently fed a female downy woodpecker out of my hand, which was incredible.
Did it hurt?
No, no.
Did it go ha 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 after it took all the birdseed?
That's a pileated woodpecker,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
woody woodpecker.
And it wasn't an ivory build. We're sure of that, right?
That's extinct. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's debatable. There's potentially people have seen it in I think the swamps of Louisiana. I think maybe. But, okay, neat. So look at that, Pasquale. You created a survey.
Oh wow! Wow. No, I mean like if it's that simple, I might just use this as my default.
Yeah. And so if we want to look through what you have there, you can see the chunks are what's identifying the survey, the questions themselves. And so one of the things last week we didn't really, we started playing with this. Oh, do we have another guest here? No, I'm sorry. One of the things last week we just started playing with that a little bit, and it looks like on lines 23 through 26 there, we're guessing that the left-hand information is what's displayed to the respondent, and the right-hand information is what is going to be stored as a value in the database once we actually get to that point. So this is the same script that you had there, Pasquale. I just copied it in the slides here. And so it's using those Quarto and R Markdown kind of conventions. So you see here, and this, unfortunately, I don't have a great way yet of duplicating an entire QMD or Markdown file within my slide deck. So I'm kind of cheating it a little bit here, so we're not seeing the color coordination or the lines identified. But you see, welcome to our survey, and that's in this bold. It's just a first level header, so that's like a section. And then this is a simple demonstration of Surveydown. Again, we can play with what this renders like using CSS, but just by default, it renders as kind of this purple text with a little grayed out background. And then you see the question type here. And so this is what I think we're going to play with today, is we're going to see if we can see what types of questions we can create. We're going to maybe add, you see last week we added an option here. So we put in Chili Willy as an option. And then there are also these next buttons, and the next buttons, for the default template, these don't seem to really do too much, but you can imagine if there's nothing underneath that default would take you to the next page. And then the exit.
Can you put like math symbols like the one I put on the private chat?
Let's try it.
Okay.
So let me actually get out of here. So today we were just going to do more Surveydown exploration here, and we're going to look and see what else we can do in it. So I'm going to go to Surveydown, then I'm also going to open up my RStudio. So we have, I'm going to try to find the templates that we used last week, and I think those are in my documents folder. I made a Kulas. There it is. And so this is the same that Diego just ran, but if I go ahead and run, the only difference being that we added this now on line 25, you can see it. We added a Chili Willy option here. I'm going to go ahead and blow this up just a little bit.
Is this the package you said earlier that has more of a learning curve than R itself?
No, that's Form R. So Form
Okay.
R is another.
I tried it once.
Because this is fairly intuitive.
Let's all knock on wood like 5 times. I don't know that we've gotten to the bad part yet, Pasquale.
Okay.
I'm
Now,
not sure. Maybe we have. I don't know. Hopefully we have. But let's go ahead and render this. And again, maybe we can put in ivory build. What was yours? A downy woodpecker?
Yes, downy woodpecker.
put that in as an option. And again, spacing, R doesn't mind spacing, so we're just going to stay with this convention.
Downy woodpecker gets. Woody.
Oh, I forgot
That's a
my
comma.
closing apostrophe. And then Diego wanted to see if we can do math notation, so we'll try that.
You have to use the single quotes instead of double quotes.
No, usually that's kind of up to the user.
Okay.
So we'll try it. It should be fun. Actually, it comes in handy, the single and the double quotes not mattering when you have like contractions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So especially for us when we deal with items like personality items or inventory items where someone might write it like, it's your birthday. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that question because it's so stupid, but it's got an apostrophe. And those apostrophes can be seen as like, okay, it'll render as it because I'm done. I started and I'm done because I see an end parenthesis or end apostrophe. So it's nice that it doesn't matter.
And it changes the text color once you've enclosed it.
On my editor, it does. I think Diego and I use the same editor. So Katrina, I know she uses like some matrix-looking thing, but Diego and I both like this Monokai. And so with Monokai, that's the feedback that we get. Yeah.
Mine does it too. I don't know. I don't think it's the same exact editor, but it's similar.
Yeah, they all look a little different.
I actually use Tomorrow Night Blue.
What? Traitor.
How do I go and see that again? What did you click on?
Tools in our studio.
Yeah.
And then global options.
Okay.
And then appearance. And so it's the editor theme. Chaos. Okay. There's one for you, Pasquale.
Mine is Vibrant Ink.
Vibrant Ink.
Yeah. I mean, Chaos is cool too. I'm gonna stick with Vibrant Ink.
All right. Kind of looks Halloween-y. So we just missed it by like a couple of days, I think. All right, I can't do it. I changed to yours and I can't do it. This just looks, I don't know.
Which one is that?
This is yours.
Vibrant
I changed
Ink?
it. Yeah. Does yours not look green like that? Green and orange?
It does, yeah. That's fine.
It looks like a Spider-Man villain vomited.
Okay.
Like the Green Goblin or something?
I think we can agree that having a dark black backdrop is better visually.
I agree. Diego?
Yeah.
The black, yeah. We all have black ones. The white one looks like Notepad.
Yeah. It looks like an Apple device.
So Diego wrote some LaTeX here. And so let's try to let's try to decipher this before we render it. So I underscore capital I underscore little I theta A raised. This looks like an IRT formula here. Information associated with theta. Okay. Let's go ahead and render it. We should be able to get it in the survey itself. We'll see if we can do it as a question answers too. So the survey, that's no problem, Diego. You can actually do that. I wonder if we can get, why isn't it not doing the Greek symbol theta? There we go.
Maybe we have to remove one dash.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Now it looks scarier.
Now it looks like something from Psychometrica.
Oh my gosh.
Pasquale, you got to do your dissertation in using R.
I might. I mean, if I end up finding this to be utilitarian, then I definitely will.
It is. It's great.
I mean, is the primary value that it adds is that it streamlines getting data from your survey into your analytic platform?
Oh, you mean Surveydown? I'm sorry, I was talking about I was like trying to convince you to to write your entire dissertation using R. But you're talking about this package?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. So we just started looking at it last week, so I can't really tell you what the
Because could,
primary.
could he like host the survey somewhere, like in RS Connect or whatever, and then put the link on um, Amazon MTurk or something like
Prolific.
that. Prolific, yes.
Yeah, the place where it's going to be hosted right now that they are recommending, and I'm not gonna go. Oh, I'm still in my project folder. I guess I can find it. Um, the ah, place that they're recommending you host it is actually on the platform that Diego, you and I have our app currently on, the Shiny IO, the Shiny kind of available free source. However, we know that there's a app limit on that, and we also know that there's a user limit on that. And so the expectation is that we're probably going to run into an issue if we, host several surveys on there. So if we look at this image here that has the package, and then underneath the package we have the survey design, which is what we're looking at right now, Quarto. Then we have the place where data is stored on the right. That I don't think is a problem because that should be free as well. But then the middle part, the Shiny and hosting the Shiny app, I think that's the part where we might run into an issue in terms of having too many things hosted there. So we're gonna get into a pay tier pretty quickly, I would assume. I don't know that for sure, but I'm assuming that that's true.
A paid tier?
Yep. So one of the advantages, Pasquale, of doing this is that this is all free, right? So we're not there's no Qualtrics subscription necessary. Now, Google Forms, a lot of people have been using Google Forms to survey recently. SurveyMonkey has always been out there. There are some free platforms. Most of those free platforms also have paid tiers on them as well. So if you want to get more fancy, right, you can. It's like anything else out there on the internet. We'll give you this for free, but if you want something slightly better, we want you to pay us. So even Posit, right? I mean, well, I guess the Shiny app hosting option is a Posit product. So let's go ahead and see if we can render as a question option. We'll see if we can render Diego's formula here. We'll try it as the question itself first. So the question itself is identified as a label. Now here our double quotes are probably going to mess us up. So I'm going to take them off and see if we get an error. Then we'll put them back on if we do get an error. Yeah, it doesn't like that. So we'll try double quotes around there.
So you're new to this as well.
Yep. Yeah, the whole point of these Tuesday ones is, to be available if someone's out there and has questions. Oh, here we have someone with a question. That's a great question. That's a good YouTube comment right there. What was I saying? Oh, we'll try double quotes around that. Wow, look at that. It actually did work. So we can actually use, although it did cut some stuff off. Do you guys see that? So we have his equation there as the item text, but it did a couple of things. It mostly rendered okay, but instead of theta, it says heta.
Why?
So we'll
Is
try
there
the.
like, is that a thing like backslash or forward slash T?
No, not that I'm aware of. So
It's
that's a
weird.
little different. It might be his double slashes that we need. It might be. There we go.
Oh, oh! Now it's actually rendering the symbols.
Yeah. So that's cool.
That's amazing.
Um, so then it should. We would think it would also render as a option then. So we'll take out. I don't want to take out the woodpecker because Pasquale has an affinity for birds. So, Pasquale, actually had some. I found some old granola over the weekend. I found some old granola. It was expired. That the use by date was something 2020, right? Like December
Okay.
of 2020, but it had never been opened, right? So I'm like, it's granola. I opened it up and I tried it, and it was pretty stale. It was not good. So I put it out for the birds. I got a lot of blue jays here. I don't know what you think about blue jays. I kind of like blue jays, but
I like Blue Jays. I mean, love hate because they're kind
yeah,
of bullies,
yeah.
but they're
People
very
don't.
smart.
There are people that don't like them.
They're
they're
very
thieves.
loud. They're
Yeah,
super annoying,
yeah,
and they will not shut up. And it is not a pretty sound, but they are pretty birds.
yeah. Horrible baseball team, but pretty birds. Yeah. But anyway, so I put out the stale granola, and I got some squirrel bandits that are out here, and I think they got to it, and not your birds. So sorry.
It's okay. I like squirrels too.
Okay.
Hey, were they fox squirrels or were they eastern gray squirrels or were they red squirrels?
Well, we just call them gray around here. I guess I don't know beyond that, but I have a albino gray squirrel that hangs out here. He lives in one of the trees right next to me. And
So
there's
you're in Michigan. Oh no, you're in Minnesota, right?
Minnesota.
Okay,
There are
'cause
there are melanistic squirrels around here as well. So I'm only living right now about a mile away from where I went to elementary school. And so when we had recess, the melanistic or black squirrels were the only place I ever saw them were oak trees around my elementary school. And now they've expanded a bit, I guess. So
well, because back in Montclair, we only had the eastern gray squirrel. There were no fox squirrels around. So out here in the Midwest, we have the larger, orangish fox squirrels, which are bigger.
No,
They're cute.
so how can you tell the difference? Do their ears look different? Fox
They're just
makes
bigger. They're chunkier and they're like orange-ish. I don't want to call them red because there's also the red squirrel, but like they're red.
Okay. I don't think I've seen those. Okay. We definitely have red squirrels. They hang out in like coniferous areas.
Yeah,
They like
red
pine
devils.
trees. And they're nasty. They're
They're
little.
so aggressive.
Yeah, they're very aggressive. So same thing happened on the response options here with Diego's fancy formula. So we'll try our double dash or double slash. And then I think we'll look at different question types. Again, this is going to be a multiple week exploration here as we try to figure out if this is usable for us or not. So it definitely doesn't like the double dashes in the responses. Another thing we can try is double dollar signs. Closer, although it moved it down. So double dollar signs versus individual dollar signs in Markdown, that usually isolates the equation. And so that's what's being done here. I don't know if it's hard to see, I think, on my screen, but the double dollar sign moved the response down and kind of separated it from the response option a little bit. So we'll just keep working on that a little bit.
Okay.
Could be. We just mentioned that single versus double quotes don't matter, but maybe there is some sort of relationship with formulas that I'm not aware of. Okay. So I think we'd have to work on it a little bit if we wanted to get it as a response option. It's rendering fine as the
Oh,
item itself,
I
but the
see.
response option looks a little different.
Yeah, that's, I'm having the same on my end.
But that's okay. So we're not none of us are math teachers, so we probably won't have too many formulas as options. Let's take a look.
We did teach a statistics though at some point.
Shut up, Diego. Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's. I mean, I think that's something that we could probably play with, and I'm sure we could figure out.
Okay.
But let's go ahead and let's take a look at some different question types. Maybe if you guys want to suggest a different question type that we can add in here. I like
Maybe like the open-ended free response.
the free field that looks pretty easy. It's
Yeah.
just text.
Maybe like a sliding scale, like a sliding
Yeah, let's see
1
if
to
we can.
10, something
Yeah,
like that.
sure. So we're gonna put in another chunk. Uh,
Do you have to read the documentation for this?
well, kind of like Christmas morning, or 12th day of Hanukkah, whatever you have. It's you're unwrapping those gifts and you just want to play with it rather than reading about how to play with it.
The 12th day of Hanukkah?
Aren't there 12 days?
They're 8. They're 8.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm thinking 12. I'm thinking 12 days of Christmas.
If you ask me, I wouldn't know. And Danny is one.
I wonder, like, when did this come out? 2013?
This package?
Yeah.
No, this is pretty new. So this is
Oh, Surveydown's new. Okay.
it's on CRAN, so it's not that new, but in terms of being publicized, I'd say within the last 6 months.
I wonder how long it'll take Quarto to do something similar because they already done it with Bookdown and all day Block Down.
But those are like this though. Those are independent packages.
And this one, Surveydown, is also an independent package, right?
Yeah, it's made by I think it's academics. Let's go back there if I can. Let's see if we can find out. I did see this at some point. I did take a little look at this. There you can see where I got my picture. There's the authors coming down here. So George Washington University. So these guys are engineering management and systems engineering. So there's a computer science guy here. This is an undergrad.
Bogdan.
Sorry, I don't mean that to be dismissive, but it looks like a professor and his kind of lab or team put this together, which is great. It's probably, a little unusual for us. We're so used to having other psychologists, sociologists, political scientists work on survey type stuff. It's great that we have people coming from different backgrounds putting this thing together. I went ahead and just copied if I can find it now. I copied a little bit of code from the question types option here. So we see Pasquale mentioned slider. So I just copied a code chunk and I pasted that in here. Again, the chunks are just 3 ticks, and then we're saying the language that we prefer is R.
So is this Markdown?
This is Markdown. Yep.
Why is it QMD instead of RMD?
Because this is the new evolution of R Markdown. It's called Quarto.
Oh, I'm living in the Stone Age here. I'm sorry.
No, we do too. But so we've moved over to we've been using mostly Quarto instead of R Markdown for stuff. But we can still, it's the same thing, Pasquale, basically. The platform itself is different, but most of the language is the same. One key difference that is driving me nuts about Quarto is these fences. They use what are called fenced divs to separate things, and that's these three colons.
Hmm.
And these separate sections. So everything enclosed within a fence. So from line 10 down to line 39, those are all those all have some cohesion to them. And so these fences, the problem is you can have nested fences. So fences within fences. And so if you look at some of the script, for example, in the slides, when we create those slides, you get lost in these fences. So I'm liking Quarto a lot, but one of the things I really don't like are these fenced divs, these things that separate different sections of your document.
And I guess we still got the YAML header up top, kind of.
Yep, but the but the YAML for the template file at least is really sparse.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
it's just these are the types of commands that you would normally put in a chunk, right? So echo false.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing about Quarto is those sorts of chunk specifications. Now they use what's called a hash pipe instead of being in the chunk heading itself. And they also don't use all caps anymore. So there's some subtle differences between the two, but they're largely the same. So we'll do bird care here. To what extent do you believe the ivory billed woodpecker is a relative of woody woodpecker?
It was the largest woodpecker in the world.
And here again, you can tell the way that they're doing this consistently is what is going to be rendered to the respondent on the left versus what is going to be stored for us as researchers on the right. So I think we can just say not at all. Let's just try to do two of them. I would imagine we can do two of them. And then we can go back and add if we want. A lot. So we can use spaces when it's being presented to, we can use spaces when it goes to the respondent, and we want to use those underscores when it's going into the database. So I'm going to leave don't believe and strongly believe for now. It doesn't really matter. That didn't come out as a slider, did it?
No. It's text entry.
I wonder if we need more separation on that. Because it's in this fence right here. So I'm gonna maybe put it in a different fence. Still coming in. Okay. So let's try an entirely separate fence. I wasn't thinking we would need a separate fence for each question type, but it's possible that we do here.
We could read the documentation and find out.
That's no fun. But yeah, good point.
Or we could feed the documentation into ChatGPT and ask for exactly what we want to know.
Now you sound like Diego.
That's what I do. That's honestly what I would do. If in the event that ChatGPT didn't know the documentation right off the top of its head. Which
But this package is pretty new. Maybe it doesn't.
that's why I asked earlier if it's like how new it is, because that will probably determine whether ChatGPT can do this for me.
Okay, if you guys want to try that, we're kind of at that point because we're running up to the end of our hour here,
All right.
and Max is behaving now, so that's nice. Thank you, Max.
Do we know who this person is, or is this just a?
He's a friend.
Okay.
It's a friend now. He likes your ivory-billed woodpeckers. But yeah, I'd be curious to know why that's not coming in. We just pasted it exactly as it's in the documentation. So let's see. Oh, this widget only renders well in a shiny environment. So we're going to have to actually deploy it. So it's going to look, to your point, Pasquale, read the documentation. So it's telling us that the preview, it's not going to render like what we want it to in the preview. So maybe we can spend just 5 minutes here trying to see if we can get a shiny deployment of this, because then it should actually render differently.
It seems like most of the question types have that note attached to them.
Oh, they do?
Not all of them, but a lot of them do. What am I saying?
Well,
yeah, no, maybe like half of them do.
Okay.
Maybe like a quarter of them do.
Well, let's find one that doesn't. And see
Yeah,
if
MC buttons doesn't, or most of these don't. So multiple choice buttons.
So, well, that's good, because I was worried that we would need to wrap each of these question types into its own fence, and we definitely don't want to do that. Max says, what are the ways to customize the look and feel of a survey using Quarto to align with branding or make it visually appealing? So, good question. We should be able to, because this is rendering as an HTML file, we should be able to use all the templates that we can use for any HTML file. We should be able to add pictures. We should be able to add logos. So if we want to, let's see, Woody Woodpecker. And again, this isn't something that probably would go on most surveys, but we should be able to just do a normal markdown image in there. And again, it sounds like this may actually render somewhat differently. So we'd have to play with the size of that.
It's amazing.
That's ridiculous. It looks good though. So that dot absolute option works pretty well here. So if we just kind of shrink Woody a little bit, we should be able to customize that. We can place it on the right. We can place it on the left. We can do headers. We can do footers. We should be able to do tabulations. We should be able to do columns if we want to do columns. But I think any sort of template that we can use in a standard HTML file, you can also apply here. So templates are what we want to do for customization. So maybe that's something that, since we're running out of time here, maybe that's something that we could tackle next week as well. That's a good question, Max. So customization. We should be able to do themes as well. Now, I don't know if there are things called standard Bootstrap themes that come built into Quarto. We can do a quick search here and see if those themes are going to apply to our template file here. And I'm just going to look for the QMD for this week's slides, because I do have some themes identified in there. And so this is going to pull from, maybe, I mean, we'll see. Now the interesting thing here is that we don't have an actual file output specified in this. So we'll have to play with that a little bit. So my hope was that this would actually render with the Bootstrap theme. It looks like it's not. So we'd have to actually customize our own CSS. So we've been playing with what's called Sassy CSS. And that's a whole language in and of itself here, where we do things like load fonts and we say what kind of colors we're interested in. Now, if I do specify this in the survey QMD, we should have available to us all kinds of different options to vary the way that things like words are specified. So if you had, for example, an organization that you're trying to represent and they have their own customized font, they have their own customized colors, we should be able to use those. I have this Kulas 3 identified here, and it's something it's something that we've used before. But if I were to, for example, do square brackets around this entire block of questions and then say apply that CSS, we'll see if this works. Didn't like that. Okay, so it might not be as that's okay, Max. I'm happy you're here. Thanks for good questions. We I think next week we can do that. I think that'll be fun. We can actually see if we can customize this, because it's not, the file itself isn't looking like we want it to do, at least upon preview. Now, one of the things that we saw was that the slider, there's our apple banana pear, which is coming through with the multiple choice. But it's not looking exactly like it looks in the output preview here of the help page of the documentation. So I think what's going to happen, it looks to me, guys, it looks like we're actually going to need to launch that Shiny app in order to see what these look like. So the preview is not going to be fully helpful here. So it's possible that our CSS is actually working, but it's just not showing upon preview, because that's what we're seeing with some of these other slider types as well. Does that make sense? Is that possible? You guys think? Diego Pascual?
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was reading Max's comment. I just realized that he's there.
So what I'm saying is, I think it's possible that some of the effects that we're hoping to see in terms of how the questionnaire is rendered itself are not going to be visible until we go beyond this preview that we're seeing here, right? So this is the preview.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's just a preview?
Yeah. Once we launch it into the actual app, that's when we might actually see a little more. And so I think
that's why we need Shiny, right?
That's why we need Shiny, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what we'll do next week. Next week we'll see if we can introduce some customized templates to the look of this. And then we'll also see if we can see what it looks like from the Shiny side.
Shiny apps are hard.
Shiny apps are hard. Did you see Pasquale, Diego and I, a couple of weeks ago, we were playing with a new AI app that develops Shiny apps for you?
No, I did not see that.
Diego, did you save that URL? I don't know if I did.
No, but let me. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like ChatGPT, but for Shiny apps, and it creates the app for you. Like, it has an UI to show you the app actually on your browser. So yeah, like ChatGPT, but not just the code. It's also the actual app that you're telling it to create.
Yeah, I think it was this one. Here it is. So I'll put this. Here, watch this. What do you want to create an app on, Pasquale? Birds?
Yeah, I was thinking birds of some sort.
An interactive map.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
Of
I really don't know what's about to happen, so I don't really have much
the
input.
American Northeast that will help with bird watching. I always feel when I'm interacting with these things like I should say please.
I sometimes do.
Oh, do you?
Whoa! What is it doing?
It's creating an app. It's
What
writing
is this?
your. It's
Did you
writing
make
your.
this? What is this program?
I'll put it in the.
Wait, did Diego make this?
You just made it. So this is the app assistant that helps you write these shiny apps, and it has the
That's what I
code
meant.
for
The
you.
app assistant itself. Did Diego make the app assistant?
Oh no, no,
No.
Posit made this.
Oh, okay. That's insane. Because I remember doing shiny apps in Dr. Dan's class, and I just wanted to rip my head off.
Oh yeah, it's a whole different language, isn't it?
So, like with the radio buttons, all this. Ugh, can't even remember everything. This is crazy. So this has an AI assistant integrated into Posit.
Uh, well,
Whoa!
so Posit
Is
the
this Leaflet?
company, Posit the company put this out. So
Wait, is it using Leaflet? It's using Leaflet. Look,
yeah,
the map app, the map package.
yeah, but we don't have much in terms of birds here, so we'd probably say we need more birds.
Where's it getting data from?
The internet, just pulling it from.
That
Oh,
is
data represents popular bird watching locations. Click on markers. I don't really see many markers.
I don't see any. Why are we looking at Cape May? Oh, is it just
It was one of the options here, so it says Central Park.
what Mount Audubon Cemetery?
So since Pasquale asked where it's getting the data from, maybe we can look. We can actually look in the code
Oh yeah, we
because
can.
it puts the code there for you.
Uh,
Probably from one of those packages. Oh no, it's actually making it. No.
It's making it up. You said.
it's yeah, it looks like it's making it up. So we can see here, it's just giving the names of 5 locations and then the Latin longitude of it. So there are some descriptions. So it looks like we missed some information. We can probably, upon hover, we get some information, or upon activation, get some information. So, we'd have to integrate a database that has some of that information in it. But yeah, that this is definitely seems like a good starting point. Like you said, Diego, or Pasquale, it's these things aren't that fun to build. And then it also gives you, some documentation and description of what it's done. So it seems like a good learning kind of learning device as well. And there's different
Got it.
levels of annotation that you can ask for.
Yeah, this is an absolute game changer. This is insane.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I'm probably going to use this.
Okay. Well, anything else tonight?
So next week, I'm going to try to tune back in. We're going to follow up and
Yeah.
delve deeper
I
into.
think, yeah, we're going to
Surveymonkey.
keep going with Surveydown for probably 2. Oh, by the way, Diego, is it possible? Do you want to run a session on the 26th in 2 weeks? Do you be interested in doing that?
About any topic?
Anything you want. Yeah, I think I might be traveling.
Yeah, I'll try. If I have time.
Okay. Let me know by next week, will you?
Okay.
And then I can make slides for you too if you don't have time to make the slides on whatever topic you want.
And then tomorrow at Katrina's, do you want do I go first and just explain the dashboard and how it works? What the curves, what each plot means, and then you maybe go in and add anything else that you want.
It's up to you. I was just kind of wing it. If you want me to take the lead, I can, or if you just want me to sit back and be support, I can do that too.
I don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, so tomorrow it's at 6:30 your time and 7:30 my time.
What's
Yep.
Katrina doing?
We're going to one of her lectures just to show that dashboard that I showed you, a few weeks ago. Just talk about IRT stuff.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got Pasquale here. Hopefully he can show up a couple of weeks here. That'd be fun.
Yeah, now that I'm done with prelims, that's the only reason I hadn't come until now is because I've
Okay.
just been
Well,
studying
I'll
prelims.
keep posting you on there anytime you want to come in. You're welcome. I've been learning a lot. I don't know, Diego. Have you been? How's it been for you? This kind of weekly thing.
It's fun. We learn a lot about authoring, which is
Yeah.
nice because I might be using it because I have to write papers for my work. So I'll probably be using it.
Yeah, I could, I'd never go back to cutting and pasting from a program into like documentation of an analysis or analytical procedure or a method or something. Like it's just having it all in the same spot is so powerful. You know, your your semantic mistakes you can correct at the same time you correct your quantitative
That's
data
true.
visualization mistakes, and everything's linked. You know, we no longer you don't report n in a paper anymore. You just pull it from the data, and then when your data changes, the n updates by
Oh
itself,
yeah.
and that's the way it should be. So
Well, for my analysis, I just had to change it so many times. If I had to go back to my document every time I change my analysis and have to change all the numbers again, I would go insane.
yeah,
I feel like I
exactly.
have to watch the first 50 sessions of this weekly.
No, you just pop in and keep asking questions. That's what we want. We want questions. We want. I don't know. I would love to find a way to appeal to people who are just curious about doing this and slowly build up skills.
I'm curious. I've never done authoring in R. I've always just back and forth between R and Word.
Cool.
So
Well, yeah,
I really don't know how any of this works. I would love to though. I would love to learn.
Okay. Well, after we're done with Survey Down, maybe what we'll do, because I think we should do a session of just like how to start, like from the ground up. And then one of the things I do too, I haven't been good lately, but one of the things I want to do is I want to slice up these weekly sessions into like little 5 minute chunks that are more like how to do it, right? So if we do a session on how to get started, then I can slice it up, and then that'll be more just like cookbooky for people. Okay, guys, thanks for coming by. Hopefully, see you
Thanks for
next
having
week.
me.
Okay, anytime. See you
See you
guys.
later. Nice to see you again, Pasquale.
You too, Diego.